Hey everybody, it's a Mad Master here. I should be not doing any more videos today, but I decided to do this video because, you know, I was looking at this comment on a video I was watching about Biden, and I'm not a psychic, and I can't pretend that I always believe in like astrology or like predictions or psychic or prophecies or something like that. But I'm kind of like what they talk about people being gender fluid, they're one gender or another. I'm kind of skeptic fluid / new age fluid because sometimes I'm like, oh, none of that shit's real, or sometimes I believe it is sometimes real. But this is not really meant to be any kind of woo kind of video or anything like that. So it's a prediction video just based on like looking at things and how they are, and just like kind of analyzing, going through the computer called my brain and everything like that. As far as like I foresee the next 4 or 5 months are going to be utter chaos as far as domestic policy, foreign policy, and everything with Biden and everything that's going on. I think there's going to be some crazy shit that happens, and I don't know what it means. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be ultimately. This is going to sound crazy. Just how I feel. I think eventually it's going to lead to people being skeptical enough about whatever is going to happen, or government powers, or the Epsteins of the world, the all these things that have happened the last 2.5 years, all these things that have happened, like Russiagate failing, for whatever reason, the Trump thing just being this totally like straw man that they wanted to put up as sometimes gaining more power themselves. I'm not saying that Trump was a good guy at all. He's kind of part of the system, but they kind of used him as kind of this leverage to gain power a lot of the time. I'm not saying any of these things. I'm just saying like all these things are included with this. That we're looking at, Snowden, WikiLeaks, Epstein, all this kind of stuff that have happened. All these different, basically. Isn't there something called Epstein-Barr syndrome? Isn't that kind of funny because you got Bob, or was that Barr? And Epstein, like, related. Isn't that kind of this sounds like some kind of Matt McKinley videos, like the truth drop, like, oh, it's a coincidence, all these synchronicities, Anyways, no, this is not about that. So I predict there to be utter hell and chaos in the next 4 or 5 months. I don't know why. I just feel like this is there's going to be a lot of crazy shit that happens. I mean it. Like, I think there's going to be some really wild stuff that happens the rest of the year. That's going to make like the last 1.5 years look just like fucking, like, whoa. Now, ultimately, and I don't know if I'm going to be wrong. I've done prediction videos to date that have been totally incorrect, as far as stuff like with the virus stuff. This is not even about the virus necessarily. It includes that, but I think there's going to be some crazy shit. I don't know what it is. I think ultimately people are going to be humbled by it, though, that have been on any side of anything, because it's just going to be totally unexpected stuff. I just think there's going to be stuff that leaks out that is going to be like, holy shit. And it might be even mean more was related to what the roots of some of what's going on are. I think it's going to be just a crazy, contentious period of time that we live through, and we have to do our best to fortify our own lifestyles, or fortify our own lives sometimes, with regards to what's going on and our own stability. But I think there's going to be some crazy shit. That's just what I predict. But I think you could take if you're in a relatively stable country or region, to some extent, like I think I am in some ways. I think you can write it out, possibly, and just kind of, if you are in that kind of situation, then all the power to you. Don't feel bad about what you're doing. What you can do is sit back and laugh at a lot of the stuff that's going to happen, because there's going to be a lot of stuff. This is just my prediction. This is just a feeling. When you're basing things on like feelings, it's a little different than like you're basing things on facts. Facts versus feelings. No, it's not about that, but it's just like saying that it's funny. It's going to be a really weird couple of months, I think. I just feel like that. That's what I feel like. Just stuff is going to come out and just be weird and chaotic. And I think we're gonna have some really big things happen. That's what I'm saying. Like really, really big stuff is gonna happen and occur, and I don't know what it's gonna be. But how you can protect yourself is by not being too sucked into it. Of course, I'm a hypocrite. It's been sucked in for a year and a half ever since I did my March 28th, 2020 video about the new normal and all that. You know, I'm like, God, I lost a lot of weight at that point. See, the reason why I lost a lot of that weight back then is because I was really depressed about a breakup, and I wouldn't eat meals and stuff. So by that video, I was like, holy shit! I look back on that video, like my double chin is really thin. But you know, it's getting a little better. I think from this past winter, it looks a little better. I'm losing more weight, working out a lot at the gyms that are not requiring certain things, of course, and doing a lot at home too, or more at home. I should do a lot more at home, but doing more at home, I want to do even more, but like I'm about to do. But yeah, I think things are going to be chaos, crazy stuff in the next 5-6 months, in my opinion, in the United States. I don't know what's going to happen next year. You know, when people, I like Gordon White. You know, he's a chaos magic writer and kind of thinker and stuff, and he has his own website and stuff that I'm on. But I don't trust Martin Armstrong. I went to Martin Armstrong's site, and he's like a total Trump acolyte kind of guy. Like, I don't really buy his stuff, his predictions, and I don't buy Marion Altman's predictions now necessarily. It could lead to all that stuff. If you go to her recent videos, that was who I was talking about, the astrologer. She's so beautiful. But anyways, you know, it's she's predicting all this stuff. She's totally red pilled now. Like a lot of people are like becoming more like, I don't believe in this anymore. Oh, these restrictions. Oh, you know, the people are doing that. And I'm not talking about, this is not about the virus necessarily. And I think bigger other things will happen too, that'll maybe even distract us from that. I mean, there's going to be some big things. I think with the big things though are going to be big revelations. I think there's going to be a lot of revelations that happen. We've already had revelations happen the last 6-7 months that have just kind of, I mean, some of them slipped under the radar, like the whole FBI thing about there was no coordinated effort on January 6th that really happened. They declared, I'm not saying that I'm pro January 6th necessarily, because I thought it was very misguided the way that they did that and who it was about, of course, but I still have sympathy for people if they really are suffering like solitary confinement or bad treatment in prison, regardless of their political belief. I don't think they should be treated like that. If that is really happening, as the lawyers of these people are alleging. So, big stuff, probably war, you know. I can see more war happening, of course, with Beijing, Biden's neoliberal, neocon, soft neocon light kind of policy that Obama had. Obama was a little smarter about it, though, at least. You know, I think Obama was more competent as a president. I'm no fan of Obama, but, you know, he was more competent. He knew what was going on. In fact, like I said in previous videos, some of the lab revelations could be, you know, and Obama may have prevented some of that happening by pulling out of that, you know, certain, you know, overturning certain funding and stuff. Of course, there's other funding that always comes in. Who knows? It's just like Trump with the Gavi thing, like, or, you know, pulling out of the WHO last year. But then, you know who, William P. Yates, I'll just use code, became the sole huge funder of that at that point. So it's like all these people are like, Trump is totally against all the restrictions and he's totally against the New World Order and the globalists and all this stuff. Well, then he pulls out, and then who becomes the biggest funder of that? You know, it's just, they're all a bunch of crooks. But I think this is a positive prediction. I think we're going to find more out about all this stuff in the next 5-6 months. We're going to find out some really crazy stuff happened. And people, even people that you knew, were totally buying into all this stuff. Like, and I'm not just talking about restrictions. I'm not talking about that necessarily. I'm not talking about anything that people believed as far as what mitigation for certain, you know, the virus or certain things that Biden was about, or the Democratic Party or whatever. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about things that will blow your fucking mind in relation to all this stuff. I think people will be like, okay, well, I can see why now, people are saying this or saying that or believing this. And I think ultimately, hopefully, some of these revelations and some of these big events, who knows what's going to be, will bring people together instead of apart. That, like this last year and a half, people at each other's throats because of all these things. It's awful. It's divide and conquer in a way. It's like all these people getting rich the last year and a half, the biggest upwards transfer of wealth in history, yet people are at each other's throats over taking a shot or whatever, and maybe the shot, overall I think it's probably a good thing that, it's going to sound a little bad and putting people might sub, but I think it might be a good idea to do it for certain people. I think it's a good thing, maybe, but question the hell out of it, of course, as well. Question the company's motives for, getting a boost for healthy people, question the efficacy of certain things, question things. Of course, have the debate, but ultimately, do I think it's a good idea to stop it? I don't, maybe it is. Maybe I'm agnostic about it now, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm more in the middle about it. I think if people want to do it, I think it should be available. I don't think there should be mandates in the ways that they're like in New York or France or whatever. I think that's fascism, because it's big Sharma. I'm using Sharma instead of the other word, and the government working together. That's fascism, But if people want to take it, they can take it. I think if they wanted to be more positive, incentivize people to take it, they should give better incentives. They should not shame people for not trusting people after the year and a half of all these revelations about, the lab, about even like Epstein and William P. Yates or the Mr. Microsoft, I mean, all these things. People don't trust these people because of all this stuff that's come out about them too. So you gotta take a softer approach to this. It's gonna be a longer. If they really want people to do this stuff, they've got to take a softer approach and go a little slower and try to incorporate, like come out and apologize for a lot of the stuff that's happened. Say, yes, we were wrong about this. There was this Twitter feed. I'm gonna try to find it and maybe post it on the. I don't know when I'm going to get to this because I got to do the rest of my day after this video, but they take a softer approach to it in a better, more compassionate way. People will take the damn thing, right? Just instead of beating them over the head, you're a terrible person, you're killing people, why don't you take it, why don't you take it? Or the these stupid, like the de Blasio videos, I don't really get it. It's like, it almost seems like it's on purpose that they're doing this incompetent ways of getting people to do it. This free comic book you can get now if you get the shot Avengers. It's so cool. Or the burger. I mean, these flies. These incentives are shit. The incentives are shit. People lost their businesses. Fucking, the theater companies, like I did in the previous video, they're getting mad because they fucking did all this shit for a year and a half. Now we're telling them they essentially can't do their plays. Tomorrow, fucking trying to do these stupid fucking, these you can't even hear what they're saying on stage if they're doing a play. You can't do a play. You told them this shit for a year and a half. They had to do this stuff and they followed along like good little lemmings, and now they can't do it again. What are you gonna say? When is the end point? Tell us when this fucking shit is gonna stop. Give a sunset clause for the passport thing. You fucking tell us what's gonna happen. But anyways, I'm off subject again. But yeah, shit's gonna get real crazy in the next couple months, I believe, in my opinion. It's gonna be fun though. If you're in a relatively privileged, safe position and or country and or social structure, I think it's gonna be real. I think I could be wrong, but I think if you are in that situation and if you can remain in that situation somehow, it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be like kind of seeing like what happened with the Bush administration coming out and like, all these former like Bush administration people coming out with all these books and saying like, all this shit happened with the Iraq war and be like, holy shit, they were so corrupt, you know, and your friends and relatives were going to be changing their tune pretty quickly about a lot of different types of things. I think after a while, this is just my prediction, and we're all going to get together at the end of the day and throw a party, you know, and hopefully when Jupiter goes back into Pisces in December 28th. I don't know. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about, but you know, I hope so. You know, I hope that things get better, but there's going to be some crazy shit, I predict, and just got to survive, just got to learn how to adapt to all this stuff, you know. It's one thing that Gordon White does talk about, or, you know, Austin Kopek and stuff, that were talking about this in one of their astrology prediction videos. Now I'm talking about woo, but I said in the beginning I wouldn't talk about woo, but let's just say, as a practical way of living your life, taking these woo, you know, these, you know, new age woo ideas and saying, well, you know, that has some practicality to it. They could say, well, don't get too entangled into one idea or another. Just try to live your life. You know, dreams, you have goals, but then you have dreams, and that's a little more esoteric, a little bit more loose and vague. Hold on to the dreams. The goals, the specific little things. You know, like, for example, like my comedy bit. Well, you know, I'm going to have to adapt that. Maybe I'll have to do another, you know, I'll do an open mic in a different county that doesn't have a mandate so I can go up on stage. Maybe I'll have to do it that way. Or maybe, you know, whatever, I'll do it online. Or, I mean, I hate that online shit. I'm not going to do it. But, you know, there are different things you have to adapt to, you know. Forming a band. Maybe we'll have to play up in northern Wisconsin with a full lineup for my band. And we can't play around here because they have these mandates or whatever. We'll have to play this, you know, maybe we'll be like Soviet Russia and have to play underground gigs where people are gathered because they banned all public gatherings again or something. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Fucking hey, man. It's gone crazy though. It's gotten crazy. It'll get crazier. It's gonna get crazy for a while. But I think people, this is a positive note. I know I was black-pilled in my video about the mandates in this town because I just think they're going to continue as much as possible. But I think ultimately, with all these revelations coming out about everything, you know, Biden's being called out by CNN for the wrong reasons. Don't get me wrong, because these warmongers want to make their money, so they're all of a sudden attacking Biden just as they did Trump for any kind of moderation with the war machine of the American military industrial complex. Any type of, even if it was incompetent, which I'll admit, they're calling them out. Oh, CNN saying the crisis of competence in their analysis or whatever. You know, anything that comes. Anyways, all this stuff is going to come out, and the incompetence will continue. You know, with Afghanistan or with whatever, with the mandates, with the virus stuff, with all this stuff, it'll continue. It will reach a boiling point. Boiling point. Ebola is gonna come back and it's gonna kill us all. No, I'm just kidding. But Ebola, boiling, you know, like a boiling frog. You know, you're slowly boiled, and you just accept your fate. No, that's not gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think people are just gonna say fuck it, and just like, they're going to reject their idols. You could look at astrology for that, Saturn, Uranus, or whatever the fuck, the rebellion. You know, I don't think, you know, whatever they're trying to do. Let's say they are trying to do this global, you know, thing or whatever. Let's say this is all about that. Okay, I think it's going to take some time for them to even get everything into place, because there's be so many people resisting that. They just can't do it, and ultimately, I think they may fail. At least, you know, on a mass scale. That, you know, there might be more countries with a social credit score in 10 years or something, that you can't go to the supermarket without this fucking QR code that's in your hand or whatever. That's the 666, you know, the number of the beast, you know, whatever. I don't know. I can't predict that. That's 10, 20 years from now. I was talking to a friend about this. He's like, they're not going to succeed this time, but, you know, eventually over time they might, you know, we might all be stuck in this thing eventually, you know. I trust his predictions about that. But I don't think the whole world will be under this order. You know, I don't think it will be like that. Oh, just be, you know, I mean, even in Brave New World, you have the Savage Lands, you know, and, you know, in 1984, you have the proles that are living their lives, just like what the proles will be the southern states in the future in America if that happened. If 1984 actually happened, that's what it would be like. The proletariat, the proles living their lives more normally in this region of the country, or region of, just like in Britannia in 1984. But I don't think they're gonna get. I don't think they're gonna be able to get that far. I just think they're more incompetent, and maybe it's on purpose. Whatever. Some people said Bush talked stupid on purpose. I think that's true with Trump, because I watch those rallies and then I see him on certain types of shows, and he's like, whoa, he's so coherent. It's so weird, because he talks like he's trying to copy Andrew Dice Clay, like Andrew Dice Clay has said over the years, like, he's stealing my act. I think he was. There was something people don't talk about that enough. They don't talk about Trump was more less stupid than people say. He was less stupid than people said. He was more Machiavellian than people thought. And I don't think everything was 4D chess like some of the Trump maniacs said. It was 4D chess when he did that tweet. He was trying to trick the globalists in the New World Order. No, I don't believe that. But I think he was more towards that than a lot of liberal commentators have said. They underestimate his intelligence. I think he was way more smart. Just like watch those rallies, it's timed perfectly with all the stuff, some of the ridiculous, but some of the hilarious stuff he used to say, or he says, and he's brilliant. He's a brilliant politician. He is. There's no doubt. Obama was another brilliant politician. Biden is just a fucking tool, bureaucrat. It's just one of those classic bureaucrats that's in power way too long and just has this like kind of mediocre career in life. It's just like this middle of the road kind of bullshit, right? Just does his thing. I don't know. I haven't read into his background, like his parents and family and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he's from like political family though. But yeah, and I think I predict Biden might even leave office in the next 6 months because of all the stuff that's happening. Kamala Harris will be the first female black president. Oh my God! But who was installed, because she wasn't elected. But people are going to celebrate all their wokeness all over themselves about that, and she'll be fucking terrible, of course. Maybe not as bad as Biden, because Biden just, he's losing it. He's losing it. So maybe that's worse because of that, though. Maybe she's more competent. So I don't know, but she'll be very unpopular and do a lot of stupid, crazy shit. It's maybe some crumbs will come down too. Who knows? Because you have to satisfy that liberal base a little bit, and maybe some crumbs, some more stimulus checks or whatever will fucking come that we have to pay later or whatever. I don't know. Who knows what happens with that money? I don't fucking know. Inflation, sometimes. I think people are kind of going a little crazy over some of that too, but it's just like, there's going to be some crazy shit. There's going to be some crazy events, probably some foreign policy stuff that's just completely botched, just like it was. I mean, I think I don't think we've seen the craziest stuff with both the contentiousness with the virus stuff or the foreign policy stuff or just the domestic malaise that we've had. I don't think we've seen the edge of it yet. I think November, December, or October, November, December, just the craziest months ever, even beyond anything with Trump. There's going to be scandals, or I don't know what's going to happen. I just predict that this might happen, scandals and all sorts of controversies and all sorts of revelations. The revelations are going to be fun, though. That's what I'm looking forward to. Reading on CNN, like, this is what happened. This is what they said all along, this was wrong all along, or right all along, or this person was involved with this whole scandal in the Biden administration, or Fauci never took the shot and he was like at a party every night or something for the last 6 months, or I don't fucking I'm just saying, like, some crazy shit's gonna come out. It's unfortunately, I don't want like the right wing to take over the country, but like it could lead to the midterms being pretty brutal, and someone was predicting, one of my friends, he's like, the purple states will elect Democrat governors because of the virus response. And it's like, oh, have you looked at California's rates? Have you looked at how popular Newsom is right now, dude? Are you just paying attention to CNN now? It's like, I thought this guy was into Chris Hedges and all this shit. I'm like, no, dude, they're fucked. They're fucked. I mean, no matter what, if the rates in Florida go better in the next few months, people are going to forget. I mean, obviously, if they lost a family member, they're going to be mad. But it's like, if the rates of the rest of the country, you know, and there's restrictions plus the rates. See, if you look at the rates of bad stuff happening with the virus, and then you add the restrictions in, it's like a double whammy on people. But if it's like, they think, well, Florida fucked up in a lot of ways, blah, 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 we'll forgive them for this, blah, blah, blah. You know, his popularity will remain, and they've, you know, just like they've already been hypocrites about, you know, some of the treatments and stuff with Fauci and stuff, like totally like approving of like some of the stuff that DeSantis was doing as far as the treatments and stuff goes. He's like, he put his mark on it. Well, next week he'll say something against it or something. Who knows? People are just, it's just like this chaos. We're in an age of chaos, you know. The fourth turning, you want to call it, maybe, if you believe in that theory. You know, we're at the end of this new age is started, but supposedly astrologically, but you know, it's like we're in this fucking age of chaos. It's going to be crazy though. I don't think 2022 is going to be. I don't see 2022 being. And I know the astrologers might disagree. Astrologers might disagree with this, and some astrologers would say that I'm right, because I've looked at the Jupiter and Pisces thing when the CDC announced some of the mandates were being taken. You know, they would take away some of the mandates. That was when Jupiter went into Pisces, and when Jupiter went back into Aquarius, they they put some of the mandates back in. What can I say about that? Maybe the elites are using astrology and black magic. You know, I don't fucking know. You know, maybe they're just looking at that stuff and doing it by that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Who knows? The archons or whatever you want to call them. You know. Wow, this is 26 minutes. I'm almost done with this video. So what do I predict? Utter chaos, utter craziness. But if you're in a privileged position, if you have a job, if you're relatively healthy, if you're in a region that's not going to face some of the, I don't know what's going to happen, riots or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. But, you know, if you don't, or maybe it's virus related too, who knows? If you're not in a bad part of the world at this point in time, which I hope I'm not, but I'm just saying my hopes aren't reality necessarily. If you're sitting in this privileged position and you're able to just look out at the world and see what's happening and take a detached, but you know, cognizant but detached to some extent position, you could just laugh your ass away in the next. I think we're gonna laugh. We're gonna see the craziest stuff ever. And the only response we can have is just to laugh, because at this point, what are we gonna do? You know, we're gonna just sit in fear the rest of our lives, or are we gonna enjoy our lives as things change? But if we really believe in the astrology that I've looked at with Jupiter, Pisces, with the mandates and stuff, and that relaxed 2.5 month period, don't forget, this is what people have been predicting. Astrology podcast with Chris Brennan, Kelly Surtees predicted this little month, you know, 2.5 month period, this window, went out to the bars, fucking had fun, you know, everybody was just like, everything's back to normal, and then punched in the face by the fucking, you know, the shit, whatever. I'm not gonna blame anybody for that. I'm just gonna blame, just, it is what it is. I'm just gonna say it is what it is. But, you know, December 28th, if that really signals a huge turning point in this, if it is true, I don't have to believe that the astrology is real, right? But I can believe in this manifestation of that we're going to go through the craziest stuff ever, probably, in the next few months, in my opinion. And then, you know, the December 28th through May 15th or something of next year is going to be the same thing that we had for that 2.5 months. And then it stops for a while. Don't go back to, you know, using astrology. I'm just going to take off the gloves and go full woo. Full, you know, if you were a skeptic of this stuff, it's total bullshit, of course. Be a little superstitious for this. Let's just play like an NLP. You assume positions. You don't necessarily stay in that position. You know, you can assume things to be useful to you. That's what NLP is all about. But let's just, you know, assume a position or a perceptual position. Be in that perceptual position for a while. So all these astrologers. Not all these, a lot of astrologers are predicting doom and gloom next year. And then some of them are, what has come true so far is that they were right about some of the stuff, spot on. Like, for example, Kelly Surtees. And what was her video? I will post a link once I find it. I got a lot of stuff to do today still in this video, hopefully. But look on her channel, watch a bunch of her videos from last year, prediction videos. Some stuff was really spot on. The May 13th thing with Jupiter going into Pisces, that's when the CDC lifted the mask mandates. Okay, spot on. We had the 2.5 month period where everything was fine, we're back to normal. The Delta Airlines hit the United States, at a certain point, and then we're back to all this bullshit, right? I call it bullshit. It doesn't mean that it's all bullshit. I'm just saying bullshit we have to deal with. And then December 28th, and then Surtees herself on the astrology podcast saying, yeah, we're going to be back to somewhat, a lot closer to normal for most of next year. Then you listen to Gordon White talk about Martin Armstrong and all this nonsense and stuff, and it was like, I like Gordon White's cool. I like him. Definitely has a lot of good ideas, good things. And Austin Kopek is also on that on the astrology podcast with Kelly Surtees talking, this, which is ironic, but he kind of plays both sides in a way, like about the astrology. But he's more of a neutral guy. He just talks about stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of crazy shit next year too. Don't get me wrong, but I think, like what I said, I think Jupiter is in Mars or not Mars. Jupiter is in Aries from May through October of next year. I mean, that's a lot of fire, right? Not as much air, right? The stuff that's in the air, When did the spike first happen in the United States? Let me ask you that question. Well, look at the astrology. Yeah, it was first Jupiter was in Capricorn up until like March or April. Then it really hit Jupiter in Aquarius, right? That short period of time, and then went back, and then the huge surge happened. The Action Jackson movie got announced when the great conjunction happened. Just talking about this, I'm just exploring these ideas. I'm not saying that it's necessarily true, but Kelly Surtees predicting a slight preview of freedom and back to normal last year really had an impact on me. And then it happened, and I'm almost like, what the hell? I don't necessarily believe in astrology. I think it's a lot of it, part of me does. But that December 28th is when that is what the transition happens again, back into that reality, which is weird because it's in winter, so the northern hemisphere should be having the worst stuff from the virus, right? But loosening restrictions the same day that happened. And that's what Kelly Surtees said. She said it in a video. I think it was June 2020. I'm going to have to find it. It is a real video, though. It's real. It's real. Okay? Let's just assume that perceptual position for a second, and say December 28th, we're out of it. Okay? It's over. Right? And then until May or whatever, but that's a different trouble, right? A different challenge, maybe, at that point. Because then it goes back into it in October. That's only about 5 months out of it. And same with this one, we're 5 months out of it, and we went back into this hellscape, pretty much, where all these mandates are coming back, and all these fucking, the virus stuff is bad, or relatively bad again, or bad for certain amounts of people, right? I'm not going to deny that there's certain people that have a whatever you want, and we can buy into all these other ideas about it too, and there's room for that too, of course. But I'm just saying the perception is that it is, and that's more important a lot of the time than reality. In some ways, perception is reality. Perception is projection. Actually, that's the name of an electronic project of mine. That's an NLP concept too. So we're living this reality. We're living in. But we can laugh, we can sit back and watch in a detached way at the clown show that is to come. And if you're a commentator like me, or aspiring comedian, you can take that and use it as material, whatever. We can satirize, use some memeology, towards the hypocrisy, like people have done. on my Facebook or Twitter, you know, it's always, there's some, you know, like this woman that said, oh, men not wearing masks is toxic. It was a Guardian article or something. It's toxic masculinity, men not wearing masks. And then she's like, vaccine hesitancy among women is just naturally, it's sexist to demean that or something. Like, oh, cognitive dissonance, right? I put that on my Facebook. It's out there. You know, these people that say all this shit. Hopefully this is not gonna get flagged, but you know, I predict a lot of shit's gonna happen. Chaos, craziness. You know, what's it? Ghostbusters. I forgot the Ghostbusters quote. You know, but it's gonna be like that the next 6 months or so, I believe. And we're just gonna have to write it out. We're in a new age now. You know, we're gonna have to adapt. Be able to adapt. You know, Change or Die. I bought that book a couple years ago because David D'Angelo talked about it. I never read it, but you know, change or die, adapt or die, or adapt or perish. That's what we have to do. This new age is going to be different. You know, it's based on air, supposedly, according to astrology. You know, there's a lot of air, and the internet is air, Aquarius, whatever the fuck, you know, and passports are more air kind of stuff or whatever, and digital shit, you know, whatever. You know, we're not in the Earth anymore. The Earth era was like the last 250 years or 200 years or whatever, where, you know, capitalism was very based on property and being in place in the Earth, you know, the oil and fossil fuels and all this shit. Now we're in this air era, supposedly. I don't fucking know. Who the hell knows? But enjoy your life. Try to detach yourself, detangle yourself from the problems that are there. There's nothing you can do anymore at this point, you know, as far as other than, or I shouldn't say there's nothing you can do, but there's, you know, getting pulled down into all this crap has been a problem with my life. That's why I do these videos, though, is kind of to push it out there, just try to push it out of me, and it's a catharsis. But yeah, it's been a hellscape of life for a year and a half. Me, I could say early December of 2019 was the beginning of the end of a lot of things that I took for granted and stuff, because certain things happened, which I'll never talk about on camera. That was when things started to get fucked, though. But that's story for another time. Maybe I will tell it one day. If I get, I'll tell you this. I'll promise this. If I get famous and rich and stuff, and if I get settled down in some way, I will tell that story about what happened in December of last year. What the fuck? December of 2019. Oh my god. See, I'm still doing it. Like I said in my video, I'm still referring to last year as 2019. So I will tell that story one day. Not anytime soon, but it was something that happened to me. It was pretty bad. And then at work, they were starting to get busy with the calls I didn't like anymore too. We were not supposed to be taking these calls. That's when things started to go to shit in my job too. It was December of 2019. Slowly, and then March 2020, and then beyond that, it just turned into a shit show for a long time, and it still is. So that's why I'm trying to get out of there. But anyways, that's about all.